You guys probably heard, but a couple of weeks ago, I was saying I have room on my calendar for two more clients because I had a big client that is done. You know, they do a big sales training, a big campaign, and then they stop. That's typically how the big clients do. Well, anyways, I still have one spot left, but I'm going to tell you a story about the person that took the one of the two spots. And so I'm going to call him Mr. Big. Pretty good nickname. He didn't give it to himself. I gave it to him. I don't even know why I chose that for a nickname, but obviously I don't want to use his real name. And I've changed a couple of the elements of the story. I know we've got story time with Dom coming up at the end of the episode, as we always do. But I think there's some lessons to be learned here because I've just started with this client. We've just done their strategic plan, and we're about to go into the coaching. So just for an overview, if you haven't listened to this show before, or if you need a reminder, or if you're wondering how business coaching works, this gentleman, Mr. Big, and his wife, Mrs. Big, got on the phone with me because they heard on the podcast that I had some spots available. And so they grabbed one of the spots. And as we were having our conversation, they're like, look, we've been working really hard. Mr. Big had started this business really when he was a kid. I mean, not shaving, maybe barely shaving. And now he's built it into probably a size that a lot of us would be envious of, right? He's a $3 million cabinet shop, and he started it when he was a kid. One of the things that I recognize, you might recognize in yourself, and I'm guilty of this too, by the way. So there's nothing I'm saying on this show that you should take as saying, well, Dom thinks he's better than me. I am not in no way, shape, or form. I suffer from the same things you do, maybe in a different way. You know, one of the things that I often feel guilty about when I'm doing this show is all I ever talk about are the successes, but I don't talk about the failures I've had in my life, the failed businesses, and the worst businesses for me were the ones that were doing okay, but they were just doing well enough to stay open, but not well enough to shut down. And I could never figure them out. Those are some problems I had. I think you guys, if you've listened to any of these episodes before, you know that I had just a really sad situation with my cousin who was a paycheck drinker. And I was able to hire him thinking I was doing him a favor. And it just turned into just so much drama, like TV drama. And that was really sad. And he has not been able to overcome those addictions, which is why every once in a while you'll hear me do something here on addictions, because I love him. He's my cousin, but he just can't get it in order. Anyways, that's caused significant problems. I mean, stuff we cannot talk about on an open podcast. But it's easy for you to hear, oh, Dominic started this business and sold it, and then he started this business and built it and sold it, and blah blah blah. Everything looks great. Well, it's not always that way. And for this gentleman, Mr. Big, who started when he was a teenager, he's gone through some tough times, and he's at a point now where he's got a business that a lot of people would be envious of. He's doing $3 million a year in sales, building that many cabinets, doing what he loves, right? But I think, well, not what I think, this is something that he had forgotten. And I do like to remind people of this, and some of you have heard me say this before, but when you walk out on your shop floor, it's your responsibility, and you can feel proud of the privilege that you have, that you've been able to put Christmas trees under everybody's or Christmas gifts under everybody's tree. So if you've got a 10-man shop, a 10-person shop, people who work for you have been able to put gifts under the tree because of you, because you and your family sacrificed, and you worked hard, and you had macaroni and cheese more times than anybody would care to admit, so that you could get this company to the point where everybody else can have a good, solid job. They can buy Christmas gifts for their kids. They can buy a travel trailer. Maybe they can buy a truck to tow a nice boat to a pretty lake with a great cottage, or go camping, or golf, or fish, or take care of their kids, put braces on them, buy a place for their mom in her retirement. Whatever they want to do, they can do because you. And it's easy for you and me to forget that what we do has value. Right now you're building the kitchen for the Hernandez family, or the Jones family, or the Chan family, whoever you're building it for. Maybe you're doing architecture millwork for a brand new sushi restaurant or a brand new rib restaurant. Geez, I would love some ribs. Okay, so now I got ribs in my head. But it doesn't matter what kind of woodwork you're doing. you're having an impact. They need you to finish this job. And then on top of that, we put our name when we sign that contract, that agreement. We have then committed that we're going to do whatever it takes to fulfill that contract. And we forget about all of those little things. We forget about how unique it is for you and me to be business owners, to go out there and be what you would call a self-made man or a self-made woman. We have many, many successful women listening to this show as well. It's a big deal. So don't forget that. And I think Mr. Big had forgotten all of his accomplishments, and all he could see was what he hadn't accomplished. If you're in that situation, then tonight, after you listen to this, go take your dog for a walk, just in silence, or take your dog for a walk and go with your wife and your kids, whatever you love to do. Or go to a coffee shop and just enjoy a coffee and look out the window and don't do anything. Just congratulate yourself. Just do something chill to let your brain restart. This is pretty soft for Dom. I get it. I'm always like, I'm the guy you talk to when you want to move the needle. But at the same time, we have to remember all of the accomplishments we've got. Maybe you just need to go visit your parents and have a coffee. Just hang out with them. They're not going to be around forever and they need you. So stop trying to just conquer the world. You have. It doesn't matter if you're doing 100,000 in cabinets, 100 million in cabinets. You're somebody's dad, you're somebody's brother, you're somebody's aunt, niece, nephew, father, son, etc. Go be that for a bit and give thanks for everything you've accomplished and you've been able to do. Mr. Big was really, really worried about producing enough kitchens because that's what he does. He makes kitchens. And he and his wife are on the line, and that was interesting. And because she's a huge fan of his, she's a massive supporter of his. And it's beautiful to see, like, she has all the faith in the world in her husband because she's seen him do it. And he's beating himself up because he thinks he hasn't achieved the next thing, but he's achieved 1,000 things that I'm never even going to know about. So we started off the conversation with him saying, look, I want to build, 12 kitchens a month. I want to build 12 kitchens a month. And we were talking about the revenue figure. They're around $3 million. And so they do some pretty big kitchens, as you can do math on, right? And we're talking away, and I said, well, hang on a second. Your numbers aren't lining up here. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, the numbers aren't lining up. And again, he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're talking about revenue and you want more profits, but you've been shy to say, Dom, I want to make more money out of this business, which you can say that to me. I am Dominic Rubino, professional business coach and entrepreneur. I'm the first guy you could say that to. You might not be able to say that to your in-laws. You might not be able to say that to your spouse. Maybe you can't say that to your brother or your sister or your parents. But to me, you can absolutely get on the phone or in a meeting and say, Dominic, I would like to make more money. And I will say, great, well, we got a place to start. Of course, you also know that my second question will be, why? Why do you want to make more money? And I won't get into the why of Mr. and Mrs. Big because that's their business. And I think that would go too far. But here's the disconnect. They were talking about producing kitchens per month, but needing more money. And one of those things has to change. You either eat your kitchens or you talk about your kitchens in terms of money, in terms of production, in terms of revenue, in terms of what it needs to be. So that was the first thing that we talked about. The first thing that, we had a long conversation, but the first thing I dug in on is I challenged them and I said, well, you're asking yourself to make this many kitchens per month, but your problem is you're not taking home enough money. So start thinking about your kitchens as money. Now, listen, I don't want to take the beauty of the craft and the wonderful smell of sawdust and the feeling of accomplishment when you see something beautiful made. I get that. But again, my name is Dominic Rubino. People talk to me about making more money. So let's not sugarcoat it in any way. That's why I'm here. And so we had a conversation about that. And they said to me very honestly, well, we don't know if we want to work very much harder than we already are because all we do is work now. And I said, well, I want to tell you something that you might not have expected, but I might not change your sales figure at all for the first 4, 5, 6, 8 months. Well, we were on a Zoom call. And so I could see them physically sit back and think, what do you mean you're not going to change my sales figure? And the answer is the same. I might not change how much you sell in the next half a year. Now, they'd worked with a business coach before, so I think they expected that I would have the same script as the other person. I'm actually not here to increase your sales. I am here to increase your profits. Sales is different than profits. I would rather have a company that did, let's say, 1 million in sales and took out $300,000 of profit than a company that did 3 million in sales and barely took out 60,000 in profit. Which would you rather have? Are you chasing sales or are you chasing profits? You see, when we have that question in our mind, we can align ourselves differently. The questions become different and the answers become different. If I'm going after profitability, you know what? Quality control actually goes up. So saying that you're going after sales doesn't make you some mean Scrooge McDuck or some money grubbing person. It means that you're going to do everything you can to be as profitable as you can to produce high quality product that you're proud of, that goes out of the shop free of defects, installed properly, right the first time, on time. That's how you get more profit. There's 8 different profit leaks in a construction business, specifically in a cabinetry business. And if you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, you'll recognize that I've spoken about those, how to find and fix your 8 profit leaks. Some of you have already taken that course with me. Those 8 leaks don't go away. One of the leaks starts in your estimating. And that's where our conversation went next. I started to ask the questions. Who's your perfect customer? And they're like, oh, well, we do this kind of kitchen, and this kind of kitchen's really good because it doesn't really get hung up in the shop. It just flows on through. We're all good. Now, these guys, their revenue numbers, and you've been doing the math. They do big kitchens. They do some seriously big kitchens. They do 12 kitchens a month. Well, that's what they need to do, but they're already doing 3 million a year. So you can do the math. They're no slouches, but they want more. Well, that's okay. The problem is, and it's the problem I've had in many of my own companies as well, until I learned from other people way smarter than me. They said, Dom, you got to break things down. Are you selling to the right customer? And the answer there is yes or no. And depending on your answer, then it's go fix it, right? And then if I'm selling to the right customer, am I selling the right product or service? And the answer is yes or no. And if it's no, go fix it. And if it's yes, make sure you're actually doing the right thing, right? Do I have the right customer? Do I have the right product? Am I selling the right package? Am I selling the right options? Do I have the right customer in the right place with the right mindset? If you have a problem, for instance, in receivables, in collections, and you're saying people never pay. Well, they don't have a problem paying. They're bad payers for everybody. You have a systems problem somewhere back up the line. And the only way that people like you and me can go and attack that is by being really, really personally responsible and understanding I'm the problem. It starts with me. So if my company has a collections issue, I don't have bad customers. I have bad marketing. I'm attracting the wrong kind of customers. You see, I can do something with that. I can't blame other people and hope that my life is going to change. I have to take responsibility first. So I've been marketing to the wrong customers. I have been allowing us to sell the wrong deals. And now that we have those wrong deals, those deals aren't paying us. I can fix those things. I can't fix Smith or Jones, who's a late payer or a slow payer. They're just being themselves, but I can fix me. So we went back and had this conversation about the ideal customer and the ideal job. And it seems awkward in the beginning because one of the things that I hear people, especially in the cabinetry business, say is, well, we can build anything. I like to be challenged. The more complex, the more complicated, the more I love it. Okay, great. That is definitely not me, by the way. So I completely admire those of you who say that. Like Charlie Lee, in one of the previous episodes, he loves complex jobs. When I have people on here who are architectural mill workers, you should see some of the things they build and the angles. If you're doing kitchen cabinets, you know that a range hood can be extremely complex. It takes a lot of time. You need somebody who's very skilled to be able to produce that one piece, a couple of linear feet. How much work goes into that thing? But you love doing it. So do it. Okay, have fun, but understand that you have to have the right type of customer who wants to buy the right type of stuff that you can produce in your shop. And so we have to line that up. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this before. The only way to find that out is by doing some testing and measuring. And we use something called the end of job report. I'm giving it all away here, folks. This is, if you're taking notes, you're getting the good stuff. So you have to do an end of job report, because after the Smith job, you want to write down your notes and say, how did we do in the Smith job? And you say, oh my God, we made out like a bandit. We did great on that job. Okay, go do more of those jobs. And then what about the Hernandez job? You're like, we didn't do very good on that job at all. Okay, why didn't we do very well on the Hernandez job? Because of this, this, and that. Site conditions, wrong measurements, wrong product, bad install. Maybe the Hernandezes were a problem. Sorry if your name is Hernandez, you're listening to the show, but you know what I mean, right? So that end of job report gives me insight. It gives me data. That data gives me confidence. I can take action on the confidence. So this is what business coaching starts to look like. We tease apart the stories and we pull out the data. We put systems and processes in place and we keep it dead simple. I can make this conversation super complicated and so boring that you would never understand what we're talking about. The double speak of a consultant. Why the heck would I do that? That is never how I've run any of my businesses. Never. That it doesn't make sense. Keep it simple. Simple systems, very straightforward, easy for everybody to understand, no drama. I don't need to hide behind anything here. Like, it's just super simple. Go get very good leads, have a very strong system for selling them the job, a job that we can produce with confidence, and make that a customer, and make sure we give them a beautiful product at the end, and then collect our money with pride. That's business. I go out and I find problems and I solve them. That's what you do with kitchens. That's what you do with architecture millwork. That's what you do. I know a couple of you here make wooden playground furniture. You solve problems. A municipality, a city comes to you with a wooden playground structure problem. You solve that problem within their budget, then you deliver it. We all do the same thing. It just so happens that we do it in wood. Some of you do it with big logs and some of you do it with small pieces. Okay. So anyways, we had an ideal customer and an ideal job question. And then I asked the question, what about your team? What about your team? Are the people on your team ready to do more or less of the perfect job work? Because we discussed with Mr. Big and Mrs. Big what a perfect job looked like. And I said, can the team you have right now produce the work you want to do? And there was some humming and hawing, and I'm not sure. And that's okay. That's okay. But we had to go and figure that out. So I think we have a very good start. We built a 10-year plan, and then we squeezed that 10-year plan and we turned it into a 3-year plan. So they now have vision out to 3 years and to 10 years in their business. And once we did that, this is all part of the strategic planning process. After we did that, we took that 3-year plan, we sort of beat it up a bit. We looked at it, we stepped back, we asked a bunch of questions, and we squeezed it, and out popped a 1-year plan. Wow. Now that we're starting to get a lot more focused. A 10-year plan is pretty fuzzy. A 3-year plan looks doable, but seems a little bit out there. It's a bit of a reach. But when you squeeze that 3-year plan and out pops a 1-year plan, you start to have some faith in it. You're like, well, that doesn't seem too tough. I think we could do that in a year. I think this seems reasonable. And then I go one step further. We take that 1-year plan, we smack it around a bit, and we squeeze it one more time, and out comes a quarterly plan. What are we going to do in the next 90 days? That's it. And so we're always going to be slowly marching towards success. And that's what you hear when you hear the episode at the end, the story time with Dom. You're hearing the stories of success and sometimes failure from the clients I've worked with on that 30, 60, 90-day march. 30, 60, 90-day march. That's what we do. We do it in 90-day chunks, and so that we can move forward. Anyways, I'm pretty proud. First, I'm very happy that Mr. Big and his wife reached out to me. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm proud to be working with somebody like him, especially he started when he was so young, like crazy young. I don't know what age they can drive in his state, but he was young. And look where he is now. And look at all the things he's accomplished. And that's something he forgot about. That's something I have forgotten about. That's something that you may forget about. So please remember that. Anyways, I hope you got a lot of value from today's episode. I really wanted to walk you through the decision-making process that a business coach and a client go through when we're sketching out what the future needs to look like. It feels like you're doing everything pretty good, but you're 1% off. You're moving off in this direction, then moving off in that direction, and you know things are okay, but they could be better. That's how you get to this point here. Anyways, I hope this made sense. All of it works together in this big, beautiful puzzle called rebuilding a business. And you're doing it while you're running it. That's what I show people how to do. So stay tuned. The next episode is Story Time with Dom. I also want to tell you there's going to be a ton more freebies freebies are free downloads on the website. So you can go to cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com and get the free downloads there. There's also another website that I have, and you guys probably know this already. It's called Profit Tool Belt, and you can download free stuff there as well. And it's always going to be about the things that I specialize in. So it's going to be about time and time management. So whether it's operational time in the shop, operational time for the office, or for personal time for you as the owner. So we've got time, we've got team. That's what I just call people, right? And you've probably heard a lot on Facebook lately of me talking about different ways of recruiting people. People's such a big problem for all of us right now. So we've got time, team, we've got money, of course. Everybody, when people talk to me, they want to move the needle. Nobody says, Dom, I want to lose more money. But that's where Mr. Big and his wife were a little confused. They're like, well, how come you're not going to raise our sales? Well, we don't have to. If your sales are that strong, let's go find the profits in there. Let's be really good at being a $3 million business before we suddenly rush off to be a $4 or $5 million business. That is just going to cause you stress. You can do it. I can show you how to do it, but your head's going to fall off your body and roll around on the ground. It's not going to be good, right? So what do we have here? Time. Oh, and a growth or exit strategy is the next thing. I have had conversations with some of you who've thought about selling the business or passing it on internally from father to son, or from parent to children in the business, whoever it is, or selling it on the market. So I help people with that. I don't actually sell businesses. It's not my thing, but I do help people get their business ready to be sold. I'm actually dealing with a company right now, a really wonderful family. It's a father and 3 kids. You may have heard me tell this story before, but the kids are in their 50s, but they're ready to sell. And so we're walking through all the processes and the systems that you need to have aligned in the business now, so that when the right buyer comes along, you're viable and it's an easy decision for them to make. So hold on here. Well, the free downloads on my website are going to be time, team, money, exit strategy, growth strategy, and sales and marketing. So if any of those things appeal to you, or if that's where you have any questions, go download the free stuff there. Or if you've got questions for me, you guys already know my cell phone number. Just text me 604-837-8361 and say, Dom, let's talk. And you know what'll happen? We'll talk. That's how complicated it is. That's actually how I met Mr. and Mrs. Big. They just texted me. All right, folks, thanks for checking in today. I hope you got a lot of value from this. And remember, you are making a big impact. And everything you do, every contract you sign puts Christmas gifts, Christmas presents under other people's trees. So there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, but you're the person to do it. I have faith in you. Let's get her done. Have a great day, folks. We'll talk to you soon.